Hey everyone, I'm Mike Lowe and we're in Madden 25. I'm here to tell you the best way to be playing Madden in 2025 if you're starting a new career, and I'm going to be giving you my top 10 most realistic destinations, especially if you're one focused more on like an owner mode setup that I like to do. So let's get to it. Now first, we're on PC, but there I believe are also like updated rosters on console, but with PC you're going to get a lot more here. We are using the Start Today mod, which is exactly what it sounds like. Now this one, at the time of this recording, is at the end of the regular season. You can see the standings are updated. You're going to go and be able to see that the updated stats are updated for each player. So if I go in and look at players, and say if we go look at the Eagles and we look at rushing, we're going to see Saquon Barkley with this 2,005 yards. This is all updated. It's kind of like if Madden was released in the offseason, that's what you'd be seeing here. Aside from all of the stats being updated, you also have a realistic draft class loaded and the next 3 draft classes. So there's 4, there might even be 5 now, different draft classes that you can load in to keep this moving as far as realism. And I'll probably be getting more into depth on the Madden modding community later. I have some videos up from Madden 24 as well that are going to be really similar to that. This video is going to be more focused on just getting your career started and just some realistic options. So while there's a lot to talk about here, again, like the mock drafts looking great, the realistic players that were created by the community, there's a lot going on under the hood when we talk about Madden modding, but let's get into the list here to help you pick your next team. Number 10, and it's one of the more controversial choices, are the Green Bay Packers because they actually don't have an owner in real life. In case you didn't know, they're actually owned by the city of Green Bay, and that's just the easiest way to explain it. The reason they're on the list, well, there's not an owner. The reason they're 10th and probably the most unlikely choice on this list is that it would be very difficult to get this approved. The NFL would have to completely change some of the bylaws and things that are in place to kind of keep the Packers community owned. It's too much to get into, and I'm not a lawyer, but it's an interesting angle if you're looking for a storyline. It's also interesting because, I mean, they're a pretty good team. What are you going to do with Jordan Love, who's kind of had some up and down experiences in his career? They're technically a playoff team if you're in this Start Today mod, which has us starting at the playoffs. So you'd be playing the first round at the Eagles. And so it's an intriguing thing, too, because you also had 2 teams in your division that went 15-2. And then you, of course, have Caleb Williams with the Bears. So there's a lot of really interesting angles here, I think, with the Packers. So number 10, the Green Bay Packers. You also get to play in the snow, which would be pretty fun. Number 9, the Arizona Cardinals. Did you know that Charles Bidwell, the owner of the Cardinals, bought the team in 1932 for $50,000? Not $50 million or $500,000 or $5 million. For $50,000. Now, that was almost 100 years ago, but still, it's a hell of a deal. And that's when the team was the Chicago Cardinals. Now, there's rumors that the Bidwell family has been considering selling this team. It hasn't really come to fruition, but they're on the list just because it would make a little bit of sense. Maybe the team is looking to kind of cash in on the obviously massive earnings. I was reading an article earlier today that every single NFL team has been valued at over $4 billion. So you talk about an investment, 50,000, I don't care if it's 100 years or not, 50,000 to $4 billion is absurd return on investment. And so the Cardinals make an interesting story. Again, you have some situations with Kyler Murray. If you want to kind of continue to go that route, he's owed a lot of money, as you can see here. So again, kind of a cool angle that you could do with the Cardinals being on number 9 on our list. Number 8 on our list, the New York Jets. Johnson & Johnson family have owned the Jets for a while. Woody Johnson, there was rumors, there was an article on The Athletic that talked about his son kind of making a lot of decisions about the team, using Madden for player recommendations, all kinds of crazy things. So if you're looking for a fun angle, what sort of awesome revenge would it be if Woody Johnson sold the Jets to a Madden gamer to spite his son for maybe spilling rumors or spreading rumors about him and his ownership savviness, I guess. And so there's a lot of talent here. Of course, if you wanted to kind of simulate the coach hirings, they did hire Aaron Glenn from the Detroit Lions as their head coach. And so, again, you're in the start of not even the offseason, you're in the playoffs still, so you'd have that decision to make. You're also going to have a decision with Aaron Rodgers as his contract looks to be expiring here. And so you'll have him for the next season, but you'll have some options as well to kind of see if he sticks around or if he goes. So the Jets make an intriguing choice. They have some talent on the roster in Sauce Gardner and others. The New York Jets come in at number 8. Coming in at number 7, the Chicago Bears. The McCoskey family has owned the Bears for almost as long as Charles Bidwell has owned the Cardinals. And there's been some rumors very similarly that they are potentially looking to sell, maybe cash in on their investment. There's also been a lot of controversy around the stadium issue. The team may be moving into the suburbs over in the Arlington Heights, which is like just north of the city. A lot of folks want the team to stay downtown. And so there's a little bit of controversy there. I mean, kind of similar to things that we saw here in San Diego with the Chargers before they left. And so I don't think the Bears would be relocating. But what makes them another fun choice is, of course, you have Caleb Williams, but you also have the potential to maybe build a new stadium. Maybe you want to put it in the suburbs. Maybe you want to put the stadium downtown, but you have that freedom to kind of go in and maybe make this team your own. Of course, Ben Johnson, speaking of line coordinators, is their head coach in real life. He's not yet in this particular start today mod, but if you wanted to follow suit, you could also add potentially the one of the most exciting coordinators to take a head job in a while. Already the second highest paid head coach in the NFL right now, which is wild. So really, really cool storylines here as we start making our way closer to the top 5. But before we get to the top 5, we have number 6, which are the Carolina Panthers. Owner Dave Tepper has only owned the Panthers for a few years, but it's been controversial, to say the least, his ownership. And well, I'll save those details for someone else's video, but there's been some controversy around the team, and it wouldn't surprise me if maybe, that owner says, I don't know, I dipped my toes in this, and this is not for me, especially when you consider maybe the struggles that Bryce Young has had early in his career, kind of a can't-miss prospect. But here he's sitting as a normal dev player. And maybe there's a decision that you're going to have to make there, especially when his 5th-year option comes up and this sort of thing. And so the Panthers have some talent on the team. They also have a lot of holes. And so I think it makes for an interesting and intriguing pick. The owner wants to kind of get out. Maybe you can come in and save the day. Keep in mind, for those who are playing with the Madden, the modded Madden version, is that progression and things like this work a little bit differently. Yes, normal dev trait is not going to be as good as like an X factor, but the mods kind of take that into consideration a little bit differently. You can still have let's just use Bryce Young. You can have a 23-year-old player still pop, even with normal dev, and it has more to do with him being 23 than him being a normal dev. So just something to keep in mind as you look through younger players, especially if you're using the modded version of the game. And that brings us to the top 5. The Jacksonville Jaguars come in 5th. And that's because, again, they've had kind of an interesting ownership story, I guess. There's been rumors of this team maybe relocating to London. That would be pretty cool to do in Madden. There's obviously talent on this team as well. And you have a similar situation at quarterback with Trevor Lawrence as to what we just looked at. He's got star dev. He's 24, so he's still going to progress a little bit here. I think that the biggest challenge with Trevor Lawrence is you look at the extension that he signed, and it gets a little bit hairy moving into the future here. And so it kind of presents similar issues to what we saw with the Panthers, maybe some other teams, but it's unique nonetheless. It's really up to you if you think Jacksonville is a good home for an NFL team. If maybe they're too close to other bigger markets, and so maybe that's a relocation option if you wanted to do that. So you have a lot of different angles to go with the Jaguars, and that's why they're our number 5 pick. Number 4 are the New Orleans Saints. Now, this team they've been doing some interesting things. I mean, for one, it's a realistic option because there have been realistic talks about this team being sold. I believe the owner actually said it's either in their will. I don't know if she's passed or not. But it's in there that just basically we're going to be selling the team. We just don't know when. It might be a few years from now. It could be 5 years. But it's imminent and it's happening. It's similar to another team we're going to have in our top 5 that I'll talk about. I think what makes the Saints interesting is they've been doing a lot of really, really unique things with contracts. And so if we just look at their 2025 contracts, look at some of these deals that they've done. They've backloaded a lot of contracts, which I like to call just kind of kicking the can down the road. Well, the can's here, and it's time to pay for that can you've been kicking, because you have players like Derek Carr going from 12 to 50 to 60 million. By the way, he's a 76 overall at age 33. That's before regression. So that's an issue. Look at the penalty to cut this player. I mean, it's more than your entire cap space. And that's just one player. You have a handful of players that are going to be in very, very similar situations like this. If you go in and just, kind of look at some of these larger contracts, I think Alvin Kamara is in here with a contract similar somewhere. And so there's just a lot of, again, unique things. I think Kamara may have expired this year, but they did something similar. So his actually goes down, it goes back up, right? So there's all kinds of like weird contracts. Ramczyk, obviously a really, really good player. Do you want to pay him 30 million and then 26? He's probably still worth it, but again, what are you going to do? And so not only is this a cool ownership thing, maybe the backstory is like the ownership's like, yeah, maybe this is the time. We got some big contracts coming up, but let's try to sell this before we got to pay these out, because maybe there's a little bit of value in doing so. So that's why the Saints are in our top 5. That's why they're number 4. They'd be a fun choice for franchise mode. Number 3 are the Los Angeles Chargers, and I almost called them the San Diego Chargers because to me it still feels like that's where they belong. Of all cities, no offense, to have 2 NFL teams when they haven't really shown a great track record of being super passionate about the teams that they've had, which have included, of course, the LA Rams twice, the Chargers, the Raiders, 3 times or something like that. So again, I know tons of Rams fans and I know tons of Raiders fans who are super passionate living here in Southern California. And it's just a little sad. I saw this again. I'm not like a Chargers fan. I'm a Lions fan living in San Diego, but I really, really felt for these guys because, there's a lot of Charger fans here who are really passionate, and it sucked to see them lose their team. It's kind of like I just see football fans here in San Diego who are just kind of lost. Like they don't really know what to do. They're really upset with the owner, Dean Spanos. And so the story here is like, well, yeah, that's enough. The league has pushed him out. And I don't know, maybe you create a situation like the city of San Diego, similar to Green Bay, has like bought the Chargers and bringing them back. They also share a stadium, which is just kind of weird, even though the stadium is really nice. It's just kind of a weird situation. So like this is a team right up there with the Jaguars for me that make a lot of sense on a potential relocation. Their logo is generic enough. Like it could be, you could move them to like Mexico City. The Mexico City Chargers would be really cool. So there's a lot of different things that you could do here. And not to mention, they have some really, really talented players as well. So you got 3 guys in the 90s. You got Justin Herbert at quarterback. You got Jim Harbaugh as your coach. So there's a lot of really cool things here you could do with the Chargers. Of course, I know their uniforms are really popular. They have an amazing 1970s disco fight song. So, what else could you really want in a team? And that's why the Chargers are so high up on our list. And speaking of those Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders are number 2 on our list for potential ownership changes. Mark Davis in real life just recently sold, I think it was 15% of the team. So a minority share of the team. He's still the primary owner. Maybe there's something cooking there. There's been rumors with Tom Brady involved in partial ownership and things like this. And so maybe you step in, you're going to take this team. I would assume you'd keep them in Vegas with their new stadium. But who knows? Maybe there's some opportunities there. Again, the Raiders, just classic uniforms, a classic team in the NFL, not to mention some really nice talent like Max Crosby that maybe you make a decision on whether to keep or start to move him as he's owed some big money coming up. And so I think the Raiders really make it fun. I believe they have a top 10 pick as well. A few teams in this list, by the way, have a top 10 pick in the draft. And wow, do they have some questions at quarterback, because even in the modded version of this game, the only quarterback that's like really got potential, I guess a few of them have some potential to pop, would be these 3, or even maybe just these 2 at 25 and 24. But really, you don't really have an answer here at quarterback. And so if you're somebody who's like, yeah, I love to take a team, I want to be able to pick the quarterback, the Raiders are a really good team for you for a number of reasons that we've just mentioned. To me, some of the best uniforms in all of sports. So they'd be a really, really fun team. And you could really kind of write your own storyline with this team. Number 1 on our list might surprise you, but it's the Seattle Seahawks. And you may be thinking, wait a minute, the team that Paul Allen used to own, the guy that helped create Apple computers, why on earth would they do that? Well, because in real life, that's precisely what his will is called for. Paul Allen passed, I think, a number of years ago. He has called for the team to be sold, and I actually think a majority of the proceeds are going towards charities, which is pretty amazing. But the point for this video is that the team is expected to be sold, and it sounds like the earliest that would happen is 2025. Okay, so maybe we kind of stretched that a little bit here. We're still into the postseason starting, but hey, close enough. We're in 2025, of course. I think even at the start of the playoffs here, so pretty close, if not. This actually fits because it's like the most in line with real life. And even if it doesn't seem like, oh, I've never thought about the Seahawks as like a team that needs a big change. Like they have some of the best looking uniforms in sports, like the Raiders, and they have like the amazing 12th man, like the city's behind the team. Like it's not a team that you'd kind of associate with like bad ownership. It's not that they have bad ownership. They're just going through a change right now. And that's why they actually make it to the very, very top of our list. Again, a bit of a transition. I keep talking about the quarterbacks because I know that's going to be kind of the next question everyone has on these teams. But you have to decide what you're going to do here with Geno Smith, who's been pretty darn good for the Seahawks, but he's owed close to $40 million. He's going to be 33 or 34 next season. He's an 80 overall, so he's serviceable. But it's going to be up to you whether or not you want to move forward with him at quarterback. And I could see some of you doing it. I could see some of you moving on. The point is you have some really interesting options here that you could pursue with the Seahawks. And so great stadium, great uniform, great fans. Seahawks make it to number 1 on our list for the top ownership choices in Madden 25. And then, of course, from there, once you do pick a team, you can do anything you want with this Start Today mod. And this is more just a shout out to the amazing modding community, because not all you will have access to this unless you're playing it on PC. Again, at least maybe you can get some updated rosters, but this is just so cool to see not only the head coach candidates in here, but the different coordinator options you have, whether they're guys who are like in real life positions now or others later. The Madden modding community is awesome. And again, that's a whole other video I could do, just kind of talking and complimenting them. They're super helpful, not only in getting me like just getting these things set up, getting the mod and the mod managers to work and this sort of thing. But I mean, last year they helped me build an entire computer. I had a few people in the community helping me kind of piece all the things together, literally build the computer piece by piece, and it just was able to get Madden up and running among some other games, obviously. And so it's an awesome community. Make sure you check out their Discord at the very least. So again, beyond just our list here, Madden on PC is awesome. It runs smooth, very, very smooth, so long as you have a computer that can handle it. And it's nothing crazy. You're not running, the top-notch first-person shooter sort of games with the same as Madden. It's still up there. I mean, I don't want to confuse anybody. It's not something you're just going to plug in like a generic graphic card, for instance, but you're going to have some options to at least explore, and it runs really, really well. And heck, even if you just used it as a simulator, if you can find Madden on sale or something like that, it's really, really cool. That for all the people who told me, Mike, you got to jump on and play Madden, and from the modding community, you got to play it on PC. It's so different. I ignored it for a little while, and then I finally jumped in and did it, and it's just awesome. It's so cool here to see the actual standings up to date. It's going to be so cool once the Start Todays are out, like pre-Super Bowl and then post-Super Bowl, because now you're starting to go in, and it's like Madden's been released at the start of the offseason, which is like kind of when Madden should be released. I get financially why they don't, but as a fan, it's like the perfect time to get into Madden. So that's why I wanted to make this video. I wanted to just give you all just kind of a quick look here at what Madden 25 is looking like modded, but very, very surface level. This video is more about helping you pick a team, helping you pick sort of like an owner mode if you want to go that route in a realistic manner. This is fun. It helped me do my own research. I don't know what team I'm going to go with just yet. Part of me wants to take my Lions and like redo the playoffs because I'm just super sad about what happened, but hey, there's always next year, and Madden's playing really well. Loving college football. I think EA Sports potentially has had their best football year in a long, long time. So thank you for watching. Like the video if you liked it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. I really enjoy chatting with everyone. I'm curious to hear the teams you're picking and why. Maybe I missed a team. Definitely let me know. But again, thanks for checking things out, and I'll see you next time.